Hello everyone and welcome to the Chat with Illuminessence. Today we're going to be discussing Black History Month, what it means to us, some of the recent newsworthy items regarding Black people, and ways we feel we can possibly contribute to solve some of the issues that are current in this year of 2018, which quite frankly I would have thought we should have evolved from by now. But this is what it is. We first want to celebrate Black history. We are all women of color right here. And we want to start off by talking about what Black history means to us. And I don't know if we have a volunteer. Should we start at this end with Michelle? Just give us a little bit of what you feel.
I think the Black History Month is a time to sit back and, gather the thoughts of people that preceded us, who came before us, and to celebrate what they have done for us and made a way for us, and kind of just excel in what you're doing in order to inspire someone else coming behind yourself. That's for me. That's my thoughts.
Mary Paul?
I think that Black History Month is a time for us to acknowledge all the hard work we've done in previous years and how we've evolved as a people to get to where we are when we weren't so sure of what it
And I think for me, just like you both, you've all rightly said, Black History Month is really a moment to celebrate our identity and what that encompasses. So the resilience of Black history, the pride that we carry, a lot of the difficulties we've had to overcome as a race, but we still carry it with joy and pride and dignity. And just taking a moment to celebrate as well, because yes, we have gone through a lot and continue to go through a lot as a people, but at the same time, the fact that we are still standing with pride and continue to make history in so many ways across the world, I think is also a moment for celebration. So yes, we should honor those that have come before us, that paved the way for us, but also celebrate those accomplishments and that spirit of tenacity that make us Black people.
Definitely, I cannot say more to that really. I guess what I'll add is that for me, Black History Month is a time that we take notice of our accomplishments. Sadly, it's the one time that we say, oh, did you know that a Black person invented this? A Black person was behind this, which is still not widely taught in the schools. So we have to try to take all of that good stuff and find a way to make sure we put it out there. Because I remember becoming an adult and being shocked, oh, we were behind this, I had no clue. And even the recent movie Hidden Figures, I was a little bit upset actually seeing that and learning that a Black woman scientist, mathematician was critical for the
That
U.S.
was news to me as well.
How is it possible that a current living legend is not talked about in the schools? I mean, there's so many Black youth who would benefit from knowing that powerful kind of story. So we have to make sure we tell those stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's certainly a time of celebration. I think more of information and education. At the same time, I feel a sense of sadness in that, it's the shortest month of the year when we celebrate Black history. And we celebrate just 1 out of 12 months, better than nothing. But we want to get to the stage where every month is not just Black History Month, because we also want to get to the stage where we recognize. And I think the time is now that we have to recognize that in North America for sure, Black history is history. It's everyone's history.
Yes, that's right.
It's an integral part of non-Black history. It's an integral part of Canadian history, an integral part of American history, Caribbean history, where I come from. And I think we want to move a conversation towards that and really recognize how fundamental it is, and not a standalone month of celebration.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, like we all have said, it's about celebrating ourselves, celebrating people that have done it before us, and believing in our essence and knowing that indeed we still have a lot to do. But for now, like Marguerite said, it's not too much of a time to celebrate us, but while we have it, let's just enjoy it and celebrate the many accomplishments that we've had now and look forward to more that we'll make.
Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in so far. We will be back with more of the chat with Illuminessence. Welcome back to the chat with Illuminessence. And now we're going to delve into a bit of the controversy lately surrounding Black folks and the perception of Black folks and our mistreatment, quite frankly. You know, as I said before, it's 2018, and you would not expect a company like H&M to put out an ad with a young Black boy with the shirt saying, "Coolest monkey in the jungle." I was blown away by this. I don't know what you all felt, but at first I thought, someone sent it to me and I thought it was, you know, people can create all kinds of stuff in their computers. I thought, oh, okay. I said, is that a real story? And he sent me the link to the real story, and I said, I was speechless. That's what I said. Absolutely nothing, because I couldn't understand. This is 2018, and anybody ought to understand that the word monkey has been used as an offensive term for Black people for how long? So it's not that H&M even put the ad out, which is, yes it is, but how did it get through all of the, like the first stage from the concept, hey, this would be great, to the next stage, an approval to the point where it was put out. And
then there was the white counterpart.
Yes, the white-
That said expert.
yeah, he was,
Jungle expert.
yeah, jungle, yeah. I mean, if anything, let's flip that. You
Yeah.
know, like who realistically will survive
Yeah.
that climate
Yeah.
and the land better. But then there was a very interesting video put out by someone with an opinion, and he said, should we be shocked by this? And that we shouldn't be shocked by this, because Black people have never been in the forefront of their minds, and we're always fighting to even be respected. We're buying these big name brand labels and supporting the companies, and then hearing that they don't really like us. So let's just open this up. Who would like to give an opinion?
I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
In fact, when it came out, my sister and I text each other, and I just said, sigh, because it happens all the time. Like you, I'm appalled.
Mm-hmm.
How did it get through all of those levels of approval?
Exactly.
But I'm not surprised, and I think it comes from a lack of, just total unawareness of what we go through, who we are as Black people, and what we have gone through, and what things mean, and an unwillingness to embrace that and try to understand where we're coming from. We're told all the time, oh, get over it. You know, slavery doesn't matter. You know, that's in the past. No, I think we all, it just comes back to this, that Black history is everyone's history.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, it brought me back to a place. I think that's when I was living in the States, when that whole controversy with Tommy Hilfiger, when he said he really did not make his jeans for Black people. And back in the day, everybody was rocking the Hilfigers, and it was the designer to have, and it's just like the slap in your face, like, oh my God. And I think just that whole perception, and I think ever since then, I've never really been I don't even know about designers. I've never been into that, because again, like you're just saying, we need to embrace our own, or at least start to not be enslaved to these brands or these entities or corporations that have a totally negative perceptions, or at least a demeaning perception of us, really contrary to how we perceive ourselves. So yeah, that was.
Well, for me, I can mimic what you just said partially, is that I'm not a person that follows labels. I don't need a label on my back, or holding a label, you know, Gucci bag, a Prada, or, you know, Burke. But with that said, I would also have to not put the blame, but don't ignore, what was the mother thinking?
Oh, yes.
You know what?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is it just a paycheck, just because the
Yes.
child got a job or
Yeah.
a gig? You know, you have to think he was a representative of other young boys that's going to see that ad, and how is that going to affect them mentally? It's just, I saw online that she was like, get over it.
Yeah,
or
she
something
was.
like that.
Yes.
You know, I just, you know, that boy's going to get teased,
Yeah.
and how is that going to make up for, like, what is that going to do to his, you know, his being?
But I have to interject to say that, you know, what really upset me about her comment about getting over it is she doesn't understand. It's not about her.
Right.
It's not about her. It's not about her son. They're not an
Yeah.
isolated, oh, this was your ad. No,
Yeah.
this is a reflection
Of
on
a
all
people.
black people.
Yeah.
So she may have been fine to say, you know what, this is a career thing for him. Let's take this job. But I would have expected with at least the backlash that she could show some level of understanding. Something like that. It's not an isolated you and your son only. This is a broader view
But does it even,
of black people.
Does it even come to bring to the fore another perception of, a lot of times there's that misconception that just because somebody is black, they really are aware or understand
Good point.
their identity and the implications and have a good analysis of race and identity and ethnicity.
And
So that's another thing where maybe she doesn't really.
And like you said, I think
Perceive
that's
things that way.
something we need to understand as black people, that being black does not mean you understand the struggles, or you understand what it takes to be black, or you understand what the story is all about. You know, I feel that's the thing, because she might be black, but mentally she might not just be thinking black. You know, so with her, in that spur of a moment, it was about, this is the contract, my child is going to be successful, you know, or something like that. So I'm going to take it. So with all of what comes after it, for her, it's like, talk what you guys would have to say. I am done.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry,
yeah,
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, as a young black lady in school.
Yeah, how did that?
How did you guys talk about it?
We talked about it a little bit. We kind of went over the subject, but it wasn't anything major. But because I like shopped at H&M, it really was like, why do I have such items if really that's what they're supporting? And I was, when I saw the video of the mom, it was actually both parents, and they were just like, some people overreacted, and I was like, but
Wow.
it will affect him in the future, or even just at school every day, like people will start naming him names, and like he might not realize the impact, but you as a mother should know the impact, and you should be able to like avoid such things that can happen.
Okay, this has been, you know, we can talk about this for quite some time, I'm certain, but it is time to take another break. So we will be back in a moment with more of the chat with Illuminessence. Welcome back to the chat with Illuminessence. Now, as you can see, this is quite the topic. There's a lot to discuss. So we're going to continue sharing our thoughts. And I want to pick up on what Mary Paul was saying and talking about the parents. I didn't realize that the father had spoken. In fact, I wasn't really interested to hear. I wasn't.
That's true.
I
It's
heard
disappointing.
I
absolutely.
heard what the mother said, and I thought I don't want to see any video because it will probably
Yeah.
make me a little too angry. But what I like to do with any controversy is I follow Twitter and I see the comments about what people are saying. And one of the things that, you know, white people loved was that the mother was like, get over it. And like you said about slavery, they just want us to forget our history. They want us to forget the negative things that have happened to us and their role in that. So when a mother says something like this, or the parents get over it, the white people who are not, I don't know what's the word for it. The ones there
Well,
there are many
with the
who
controversy.
understand the struggle and can
Yeah,
empathize.
yeah.
But for those who just have no concept,
Let's just get
Let's
along.
just
Let's
get
just get over it. Let's move on.
they don't even care about getting along. They just think that we're making too
Yeah.
much of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's important to realize the perception. When you see what's said on social media, it became more clear to me why it's important for that mother and the father to have had some sense of identity. Now, what would be curious is to know, did other parents go to that audition and say, hey, what is this? I'm not okay with this. That's what I'd like to hear from someone like that. I don't know if that happened.
We don't know. We don't know, but I think you're absolutely right. But again, a bigger problem here is taking it even, yes, I'm very disappointed with the parent, but taking a little bit of responsibility away from them and even putting it on the staff of H&M because they approved that design. They approved whatever vendor brought that product to them, they approved it. So this is what happens when you don't have a team that either has any consciousness about racial issues, or when you don't have a diverse team or have a regard or an understanding of how this impacts people and what their demographic is. So that's why, again, I'm looking at it even from an employment perspective, having a team that's diverse, that understands these things, because that should not have even
It's so
passed
important.
approval to get to a point where
Absolutely.
you give it as an option to parents for them to have to, or to models. So I think both sides have a responsibility and both sides have a fault in this, because it's almost like when we talk about what is accessibility. If you create an accessible space, somebody's not gonna trip and fall. So when you already give them this as an option, you've already created that situation where they could fall victim to this. So it's the same thing where it should have never happened in the first place, where they shouldn't have been giving this outfit to use in the photo shoot.
So I can see how it could happen very insidiously. Perhaps in the storyboard it was just a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But at some point, even when the child auditioned, they probably didn't have that particular, because you just audition in your own clothes. But at some point, that shirt was brought out. It may have even just been at the moment before, when they're setting up the photograph, the child was put in where there was a photographer, the set designer, the makeup artist, all of those people. And then once that was done, someone had to work on the artwork for the ad and so on. So it must have gone through, could be 100 people saw that at least before.
Absolutely.
It's not going to
Came
be
to the public.
It's not going to be that quick of a That shirt was designed, and then they brought in the models with that in mind. That's
Do you think so?
Absolutely. This is a marketing advert.
Yeah.
Like, they don't just say, okay, let's have a shirt. We don't know what's going to be on it. They have to. A
You
company
mean
like
oh, this is cool, monkey, let's get a black kid?
Oh my God, that's
they created that was probably in their
worst.
that's why there was
Who would be
a
good for this?
this is a question in my mind.
Yeah.
Was like I waited for them to say this was their way of trying to say that racism is stupid. I wanted to hear something, even if it didn't make sense, that there was a
Yes,
deliberate
yes.
way to reclaim, like,
Yeah.
he's cool. And I don't believe,
Yeah.
obviously.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we don't know. Because
No,
you're
but
right,
no,
they're not
that's
saying
ad
anything.
planning, especially
Yeah.
for a big company,
Yeah.
can't be, it's on the day, we're going to do this. They need to know. They storyboard, they plan
Right,
this.
right.
There's money put into all of
is
this.
true.
If they flipped it at least,
Yeah.
then they could have said, we're calling out racism.
Right.
And we're defying
Yeah.
the stereotypes.
Yes.
But they
Yeah.
didn't do that. But also, to move the conversation, because we have the President Trump and his comment about Haitian and African countries on the heels of the H&M. And I mean, I don't know.
May I do a
Yes,
deep
please,
sigh?
please,
Not
yes,
surprised.
collective.
So I think, and that, you see, when these things keep happening repeatedly, then we as a people have to ask ourselves, what do we do? Even though we've done it before so many times, but what do we do again to try to, again, restate that we are not what you keep telling us we are. If this is what you think we are, maybe the deeper question is, why do you have to keep putting us down so much? What is it about us that is so great and
Yeah,
so
exactly.
threatening
Yes.
that if you put us on a pedestal, it will threaten the status quo? Is that the question?
I think that's a great question,
Really,
because
is that the bigger question?
when when it comes to sports, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, they see that athletically, Usain Bolt, we really can dominate and crush them. So I think there's a lot that they are threatened by with us as a people.
Oh, could be.
Well, could be. I think there's a subconscious level. They've rewritten our history. They've lied. They haven't told our important stories. Why? Like Hidden Figures. If this woman is integral, why is that just not part of the space history? Why is that completely like? It seems like there's a deliberate attempt to keep us from believing in ourselves because of the power we possess. That's what it feels like to me. Otherwise, there's no reason to not say, oh yeah, it was a black woman who did this, or there was a black man who did. It doesn't seem like there would be a reason to not share that. It's just part of They could claim it. Look what we've done. We've brought you over here and we've made you greater. They could claim if they want, but they don't want to tell those stories at all.
You guys are thinking.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
when you said about the woman, I was very surprised. It's not just one woman.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there was hundreds or,
Yes.
but I was very surprised. And I'm 40, so I watched that when I was, 39, 40? 40 years. I didn't hear about that at all. Like, what a shame that is. You know, tomorrow there's going to be a documentary, a celebration of Lincoln Alexander. So he's just right in our city.
Yeah.
But to bring it back to your point, I think unfortunately, there's always going to be racism. That's just the world we live in. It's not going to be fair. So we as a black, brown, but I would say just the black community just basically has to start supporting each other. Other races support and rally with each other.
Yes.
And build the culture and the community up. Unfortunately, or a lot of us, not all of us, because I don't like to generalize in anything, tear each other down. I don't think the mentality is there's not enough money, there's not enough whatever it is, so a lot of us tear each other down. I think that's within. If we got it right within, we would be a force to reckon with.
Well, a house broken is the a house
Divided.
that's
Divided
divided cannot stand or cannot fall, right? What's
Yeah.
the word?
Yeah.
If
Cannot
you're
stand.
together, you can. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Grace.
Yeah, I just wanted to say you're absolutely right. It's about us internally owning ourselves and valuing who we are. You know, I think a lot of us have lost the value of what our essence is. What we care about is achievements, it's success. So whatever I have to lose or whatever has to go away, or if I have to step on people's toes, like, it's okay once I achieve what I want to achieve. And that is not all there is to life, you know. So I absolutely think that if we begin to value ourselves more and if we begin to work together and do a lot of more collaborations and mentally begin to change our mindsets and think that at the end of the day, when you do something as a black person, it's not just about you, it's about every other black person that is in that room or in that society or in that community that you live in.
Excellent point. And on that note, we do need to take another break. No, we're good.
Yeah.
No, there's not a problem, because what we've done now is we've already sort of moved on to the solutions. So so we're going to continue talking about
And
the
you're gonna go
solution.
into the
And so you
solutions.
will when we come back. So we will be back with more of the chat with Illuminessence in a moment. Welcome back to the chat with Illuminessence, and we are talking about some solutions. And one of the things I'm going to throw out there, which I won't, I'll let you guys speak about, is do we boycott companies like H&M? And even better, supporting black business. Those are my thoughts, so we can roll with
Totally
those.
agree with you. Now, we have to recognize that when we say we're going to support black businesses, it is going to take conscious effort. It takes time. I have an example. I mean, buying my hair products, for example, it's a lot easier for me to just go online, click purchase and I get it, than to spend 20 minutes to go down to the beauty store that's owned by two wonderful black female entrepreneurs. I have to make up my mind. And I think that this is about individual action. We each have to say, something, I am going to make a concerted effort to support black businesses, to support people of color wherever I possibly can. And also to stand up for right and wrong where we see it, to make our voices heard. So I know social media, for example, we say, well, what's a like and social media? But it is powerful.
It's
Are
hugely
we adding our
powerful.
voices to that conversation and saying, when we get into a thread, for example, do we say, well, stop this? Have you ever thought of this? And just cut it.
Exactly.
So I think there's a lot of individual action that we have to take responsibility for.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important that we do support black businesses, but before we can do that, I think we need to support each other because, even like if I'm at school or like our friends will say like little things. They'll be like, "Oh, your skin is too dark," or little things like that, and you're just like, "But wait, if I can say that to someone else, like, how is somebody else telling me the same thing not going to? It's like not going to make a difference because I think it already."
So are these your black friends who are saying this?
Yeah. So it's
Oh,
almost
there's
like
a
saying
whole-
if we're tearing each
Yeah,
other
yeah.
down,
No, for
how
sure.
are we supposed to be seen differently? And I
Because
think that's really what.
Well, I have to say, I have a friend, and I've talked to her about this. It's very disappointing because she has a daughter, very dark-skinned, beautiful daughter, but when she talks about men, she's always throwing in these negative, "Oh, he's too dark, he's dark." I said, you know, and then one point her daughter said something about my skin, "It's too dark." And she said, "I don't know where she got that from." And I said, "You are not paying attention."
She just missed the
to-
big mouth.
She said, "Oh, I don't say it around her." I said, "The way you say it,
Yeah.
it's come out around her.
Yeah.
You're not saying you're a beautiful
Yeah.
black child of God. God created us all. We came as He created us.
Yes.
We are all equal. We are all loved. So this nonsense in 2018, we have to. You're right. We have to do better. And I just hope we can."
And I think for me, that's really what I think. One, you can't love others if you don't love yourself.
Absolutely.
So you have to love yourself, and you teach others to treat you how you want to be treated. So if we treat ourselves with respect and we comport ourselves with dignity, it forces others to do that. And I think, coming from Africa, for example, when Donald Trump calls us shithole countries, yes, he has no right to call us that. But then we go back to what have our leaders done to enhance our value in the world, where we're not forced to be in the diaspora and be subjected to being referred to as shithole countries or shit Africans or whatever. So we also have to start building our countries in places where we're proud of and we're not enslaved to labels and
That's the thing,
things
yeah.
things that define us in the eyes of what we think we should be defined by. So rocking our natural hair, look at how beautiful that is, or just being proud, even if we're rocking, we're doing it with style, but it shouldn't be something that we're enslaved to. We should still be proud of ourselves, because as I was just listening, even to the music playing with Whitney, when I think about whether it's Whitney or even when Oprah spoke, everybody was talking about Me Too, but when she spoke about it, everybody in that room was just in awe. When I think about Barack and Michelle's legacy, I feel like they're probably the most powerful couple ever that were in the U.S. history of presidents. And when you think about just so much that we've done, even here in Canada, when Michael Jean was Governor General,
Haitian.
Lincoln, and
You know?
so seriously, so when we think about every time somebody tries to put us down, let's just think about greatness. When have they talked about great leaders in the world, whether it's Mandela or Martin Luther King, and the names come up, and mostly black names. So reminding ourselves, teaching our kids what it means and what our potential is, will continue to help us to get to that place of pride. Because until we get to that place of pride, all of what we're talking about, supporting one another, loving one another, will not happen effectively. So I think for me, that's just what I go back to. I go to that place and then use that to help me really embrace who I am and try to share that, whether it's through Illuminessence as a platform or in every sphere where I find myself. So it doesn't matter what Donald Trump says or what H&M says. I will continue to walk with pride and celebrate who I am as a black woman.
If I could just
yes.
step in.
Yes.
Just to, because what you said really resonated, because the youth is obviously the next generation, but what are they feeding on? When they're watching TV, is it an image of us, or even the youth at a whole? Is it a positive image? So if you're just looking at it and you're seeing people half dressed, or not speaking properly, being black doesn't mean you're limping. Being black doesn't mean you're talking with a slang. They have to change the mindset so that the children coming up, whether you're really dark, you're light, your hair is an afro, that everything's beautiful. But that comes a lot from the media, unfortunately. You know, yes, it shouldn't come from the media. It should be from parents bringing up their children. But it is what it is. The media affects the children and society on a whole. So if you can get the media to reflect positive images, then it will help. You know, coming
But
up.
we do have the power, a lot more power as individuals with the media, with social media. Because
Even
it's
with
so
this
easy now to
platform, we
just
have
tweet
more
or
power.
do YouTube and
Yes, and
create
that's-
a movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, going back to the idea about supporting black businesses and
Yes,
so
I
on,
wanted
is
to-
often you'll hear, oh yeah, but I went there and they are not up to scratch. If that's the case, then I think, we have a responsibility to quietly go to that person and say, hey, I had this bad experience, and I really want to support you, and here's to share it rather than to just walk away and
Absolutely,
say nothing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And besides that, like I remember, there's in Mississauga on here, Ontario. There's, the big beauty store. I won't say the name, owned by Asians, and across the street there's one owned by a Jamaican. And I remember being in there, and she said it's so frustrating because people will come into her store, look for a price, and they go across the street and buy it.
Yeah.
What if it costs $5 more
Yeah.
for your hair product?
Yeah.
She's a smaller business, and we're giving our money to them, and then she's, who knows if she's going to close down.
Yeah.
We're not practicing what we preach,
Absolutely.
and we're not helping to elevate each other. And this is something that I feel the Jewish people as a whole, they understand, and others
that well.
know how to support, even if it means a little bit more, because when products or businesses are smaller, they have higher overhead and higher costs. So we have to be cognizant and move forward with purpose.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we could go on and on. There's so much more to say, but that is all of the time we have for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear from you. And that is The Chat with Illuminessence. Thanks for watching.